There we go. Okay, perfect. All right. Welcome to Crimson Robotics. This is our parent kickoff. Students are allowed to be on here as well if they wanted to. I'm going to go through some information at the beginning here. Here's our basic agenda. We have some information for all parents. So if your son or daughter was previously in robotics, we're going to go through that information fairly quickly at the beginning. You know all about the robotics situation, about how the seasons work, about how competitions work, and so on. The third portion of this you don't necessarily have to stick around for, although I encourage you to use it as a working session and get the unfortunate significant amount of paperwork through. We've got a number of things that have to be done, but I'll go through that in detail as we go through this first section. The Booster Club also has 2 or 3 slides. It's not huge, but it's a few things they want to cover. Extraordinarily important. And then I'm going to go through a kind of an overview for new parents. One of the questions I always ask when I kick off these sessions is, how many parents went through robotics when they were in high school? And so far, nobody's raised their hand. One of these years, somebody's going to be able to, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. So robotics, interestingly enough, through FIRST Robotics was started back in 1994, 95, somewhere around there. So it's been around a while, which is really cool. All right, we'll jump right into it. My name is Coach Hidley. I run basically FTC and FRC build. For those of you who are new, I'll explain what those acronyms mean in just a bit. I also run the administrative side and just generally manage the team overall. From working equipment to helping out with programming questions to all kinds of things. So I've got kind of a wide degree of knowledge for robotics. Day job is at SPS Commerce. I actually just started that recently and I'm having a blast. It's a lot of fun. I have a daughter in college down in St. Olaf, and I have a son who went through this robotics program and then went on to graduate from St. Thomas University with a ME degree, a mechanical engineering degree. So he is now working on automated assembly lines, specifically the packaging end at the end of assembly line. Automating the packaging of items coming off of an assembly line, which is kind of cool. Anyway, that's a little bit about myself. Coach Malm is the other coach this year. He is in charge of outreach strategy and scouting and apparel. He teaches physics at Maple Grove Senior High, so it gives him a great opportunity to teach some of the students how those theories that you learn in physics apply to the real world. And they're off calculating things like momentum or weight or speed or all kinds of different things based on how we put the robot together, which is just an awesome application of physics during the year. So that's really cool. Coach Redmond is not going to be joining us this year. She is always here for moral support though. So that's really cool. We do have 4 co-captains, 3 of which have been elected. We have 1 more to elect, hopefully in the next meeting or 2. We are pretty certain we know who that is. He joined recently and showed a ton of interest in helping us out. He's really a go-getter. So hopefully I'll be able to release his name shortly. Stavia is our administrative co-captain. She works really closely with me. Nicole is our engineering co-captain. She works closely with me and Coach Mullen's students. And Noah Peterson is the outreach co-captain, and he works with Coach Mullen on outreach activities. Those are going to be a little bit challenging this year with COVID still, but hopefully we're able to get out and do a few things. So we will see how that goes. I like going over our mission, regardless of whether or not you've been to these meetings before, but it's to give the opportunity of robotics to every child in every grade in every school. This is not limited by our school district or even our state, or quite frankly, even the country. We've started teams in all the other continents except Antarctica. We have just participated in assisting other teams' growth. We have helped finance them kicking off teams, and it's been incredibly rewarding. Our students also have mentored a large number of students before as well across our school district, and mentored students in, I want to say, Australia, Singapore, India, a few other areas. So really fun organization and a lot of great opportunities. I'm hoping we're able to get back and do some of those things post COVID here. I know we're not quite post. I'm dreaming a little, but I am hoping we we get past it soon. So that's what we're about from a high level. I'll get into more detail for new parents in just a little while. Otherwise, we'll keep rolling here. Masks are still required for COVID. This is a school district policy. We will be wearing masks at all times. Pods, like we started doing last year, are not necessary. If a student tests positive and the team is masking appropriately, then we don't need to quarantine. This is why masks are so important, even for us. And should the school district, lessen their policy on masks, but still require us to quarantine if they're not wearing masks, we might easily require masks, just so that we don't end up having a quarantine should one of our students come down with COVID. So we'll watch the policy. We'll let the students know how our policy might change as we move forward as well. And of course, we encourage everybody to get vaccinated if they're able to do so. All right, winter COVID. I have no idea what it's going to be like for a winter season. Stay tuned. I think everybody knows at this point in time with COVID and the way it has gone in the past, we simply do not know how it's going to unfold. So we will all work together on what that looks like coming up. All right, our weekly schedule. FTC, for those new parents, is our robotics organization in the fall. We compete in First Tech Challenge. Build nights are on Tuesday night and Friday night from 6:30 to 9 o'clock. I run those sessions. I mainly just supervise them. I don't have a game plan in terms of running through a particular lesson plan or teaching a particular area of robotics. What we do is a lot of FTC is guided within a smaller, each student is assigned to a smaller team within our team. So we're looking at having 5 teams total this year, given our current sign up. And if your student chooses to participate in that and works their way through the checklist and gets signed up, then they'll be assigned to an FTC team and they can build on Tuesday nights and Friday nights. And then we also will have build sessions on Wednesday and Thursday after school, but on those sessions as well, we occasionally will have planned kind of a lesson or learning for the students in general. For example, we go through a safety lesson. We call it Earning Your Safety Skill Duck. I'll go over what that is in a little while. But everybody needs to earn their safety skill duck as we go through FTC. So we want them to be safe when they're in the shop. They're using power tools. We have a number of them, and we have a CNC machine this year as well, which is really exciting. So all sessions are recorded on the Crimson Robotics calendar, not recorded as in recorded live, but rather are available on that calendar. So if you subscribe to the Crimson Robotics calendar on our website, you can subscribe to it on your iOS or Android device. You will be kept up to date. I use that as kind of my personal way of keeping organized as well. So I see what's out there on the calendar all the time too. I'm subscribed to it and I will cancel events or add events as necessary to that calendar because I live with it as well. So. All right, FTC attendance requirements. If your son or daughter chooses to join FTC or our robotics organization here in the fall, our expectations is that they are attending 3 out of the 4 sessions per week, okay? The first week you get attendance credit, that's next week while attending, but no days are actually required. So I go through the calendar and I count up full weeks that we have available until our tournament. And I have come up with a number of 21 days required, okay? We will meet far more than 21 days, okay? That 21 days is based loosely on the idea of meeting 3 out of 4 sessions per week. But like I said, next week we start meeting on Wednesday. We do not have a Tuesday session, and we don't have a Friday session tomorrow. So we don't have Friday tomorrow. We don't have Tuesday next week. But starting on Wednesday next week, we will track attendance. That will count towards the 21 days required, even though I really didn't count next week as a required week, to be honest with you. So they're getting, they're already adding days to their attendance record right away. 21 days, I would hope, is relatively easy for students to hit. This is a high school kind of sport, so keep that in mind. It's just like if they were playing in, softball, hockey, tennis, football, whatever. The coach expects them to be there in order to participate in that competition, and I do as well. Okay. Robotics is actually a Minnesota sanctioned sport. Minnesota is one of only 2 states in the nation that recognize robotics as a sport and provide us with the ability to letter. So students have the opportunity to letter at the end of the school year. Okay. The 21 days required can go up, but they won't go down. So if we are asked to not be there for conferences or some other things that have not yet been recognized on the calendar, I will take the 21 days and I will remove days based on that. So it won't go up, but it can go down. You can make up sessions by coming in then the full 4 times a week. And again, next week, they're already starting to attend or count towards their attendance record. So hopefully this is pretty easy overall for any student who is dedicated to coming to robotics. I typically don't have too much of a problem with this. All right, FTC requirements. This is super important. These are out on our website. Let me go here. There we go. Hopefully this is our website, crimsonrobotics.com. Let me just go to the front page. When you go to it, there is a link right here at the top called 2021 Kickoff. That is what we're going to go into now. And at the very top is a checklist, okay? Down below, there are a couple meetings. That one of them was the kickoff meeting we had for students on Wednesday, and one was for our parent meeting, which you are at one of. So you simply open this checklist link, which I have already brought up here. Here we go. Okay, we're gonna go through this kind of top to bottom. Membership contract your student should have brought home today. You can always click on this link and print it out at home and have them bring it in. I think I've gotten 4 of them already, but I expect a whole ton more back by next Wednesday, which is great. FTC, or sorry, Smart School K-12, we are getting set up. I thought this was going to be out there by today, but I've been informed by somebody who went and signed in that it was not appearing yet. So I've reached out for assistance in getting that set up. I am hoping that that will be up there within the next 24 to 48 hours. We will see. So this one you can't quite do. This, by the way, is $90. Okay, I'll just put that down. The ability, so FTC fee is $150. We'll go over a family financial statement in just a moment, but these are the 2 main fees for the fall, okay? I also go over what these pay for in the longer parent presentation at the end. So you get more information on that if you hang in there. Beyond that, the parent sign up, you just got that in the chat session. So I'm actually, since a couple more people joined, I'm gonna put that out there as well. Again, really short form, easy to do, gives us some background information. Then there's a student sign up. Your student should have already done that, okay? There we go. Likely that is done already, but they should be doing that. This First Inspires consent form is a pain in the butt to do. What happens in the process is a little bit more involved. I send an email to the student logs into First and creates their account. In their account, it asks them for a consent form. Because they are under 18 years of age, they give them your email address. It then emails you. You come out to the firstinspires.org website and create your account and go in and approve the consent form. There's a little red dot that appears in the upper right-hand corner when you create your account. That's where you will find the consent form, is by the little red dot. So look for the little red dot when you log in to do the consent form and go from there. This is painful. I wish it was easier. I wish the First Inspires website was easier to use. It's not. It's something we struggle through every year. But these things are critical because we cannot compete unless your student fills out the consent form. That is absolutely necessary. as is the the Smart School fee as well. This covers liability for us at the school, whereas an FTC fee pays for other things. Again, I can get into that later. Couple optional items, and then I'm going to pause a moment for questions. You can subscribe to the calendar, again, out on our website. You can watch the FTC game Kickoff as well, which is a 7-minute video. It is a great kind of overview of what we do. Each game is different every year, so if it's a different one. If you have your returning parents, you're going to see something new. This is just a link to the presentation we're going through tonight, and then this is the link to our family financial statement, which I will go over as well. In fact, let's just do that right now. There's the school district fee of $90. If you are in the free and reduced lunch program, this can be waived automatically for you, okay? It's determined by the school, though. I do not determine it at all. The other cost of $150 is determined in conjunction with the Booster Club. This helps support, buying kits and a whole bunch of other things. That is all that is necessary then for the fall, is the $150 plus the $90, okay? If a team advances, which would happen at the end of December or in December when we go to competition, if we were to go into a state competition, there would probably be another $50 fee associated with that. FRC, which is our winter season, costs a bit more because we actually travel for that. And I can get into that more as we go as well. That's in the third part of the presentation. If we advance, it's another $50 per student to go to state. And yeah, we go from there. So, there's a reasonable amount of costs associated with this throughout the year. We want to be upfront with that. We also want to let you know that there is funds available should you not be able to afford one of the competition fees or things like that. Simply let me know. And the Booster Club provides some kind of scholarships, and we can get a fee waived should we need to, okay? There's some fine print down here. I'm not going to go through all of it. And then other related costs and things. But anyway, it's all outlined in this statement. I'm just going to leave this up here for you all to peruse later on. You can do that from home. The link is there in the checklist. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause a little bit here. Any questions so far? These are the FTC requirements. Okay. All of the stuff that's on the slide, all of this is in the checklist that we just went through. All right, feel free to drop questions in the chat as well. I am actively watching that as we go through this too. Okay, so feel free. We went through the attendance requirement that you have to meet in order to get to the tournament. There are also requirements outlined in the student contract, and you need to stay in good standing as well. Other considerations, and the financial assistance is available. So we pretty much covered that, okay? The competition dates then this year are December 4th and 5th. We are competing at the Maple Grove Senior High. We are actually hosting the event, okay? I wanna say there's about 45 teams that compete each day. Your student will compete on one day and they will help support the team on the other day. This is considered an outreach event for us. So say they compete on the 4th, we also ask them to come back on the 5th and help us run the tournament, okay? Students in the past have even helped referee. They've done all kinds of things at the tournament. So we have a big sign up that we put together, and students come in and sign up for slots, and we go from there. So December 4th and 5th, we ask all students to block off, and we go from there, okay? Yeah, so that is that. All right, these are the basics of what parents who are returning, you already know about the program. I've given you what you need to know to get your son or daughter signed up, okay? I encourage you to stay around and, even use it as a working session from here on out. And the Booster Club is gonna go next year too. So please stick around at least for the Booster Club. And then if you are a returning parent, again, if you want to treat it like a working session, that's great. If you're a new parent, I'd ask that you stay around and get a flavor for what robotics is actually about. What is this crazy thing that we do with the students? And your student has maybe already come home saying, oh yeah, I want to do this robotics thing. And this is going to give you a lot of great information about it. All right, I'm going to turn the next few slides over to Heather. She is the president of our Maple Grove Robotics Booster Club. Welcome, Heather.
Hey, everyone. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the Booster Club. The mission of the club is to work with all the students to raise funds that we use for the supplies to build the robots. We fundraise and get sponsorships and grants in order to run this program. Every parent is a member automatically of the Booster Club, and you can attend any of our monthly meetings. Right now they're on Zoom. They may be in person and Zoom later in this year. We'll find out. If anyone's interested in joining the Booster Club board, please let one of us know on the bottom there. We'll post my email too once we get further down. Next slide. Okay, fundraising, super important. And also this is where parents can volunteer. When we have big fundraisers to raise all the money for the FTC season, the FRC season where they travel, that includes the tournaments and champs if we make it, and all the coaches' money to make this possible. Fundraisers on the, you can just go to the next slide, it'll list some of the major ones. We tried to do Krispy Kreme during the fall, but they are all booked. So we're gonna have to wait for springtime for that. But we do have a couple big ones that we need students to volunteer to do and parents as well. Short shifts, 2 to 3 hours for each shift. And so it's not super time consuming. And they're actually pretty fun. So for the fall and winter, if Cub is allowing it, we have the students bag groceries for people that are shopping at Cub. And normally it happens around Thanksgiving time or Christmas time when everybody's out shopping in the grocery store. In February, we will have a big FRC season reveal with the big robot that goes along with the theme. And we do kind of a show, and there'll be silent auction items. Another great opportunity to volunteer. We had a great one, not last year, but the year before. A lot of people came, sponsors came, it was great. Otherwise, we do in the springtime Krispy Kreme donuts, advanced sales and on the day sales, and also Gerton's plant sale. We launched it last year online, and I think that went really well. So I'm hoping for a really big one this year too. The monthly restaurant nights, also great to volunteer at. They only last a couple hours and we get a percentage of the sales that night. And we have students sign up and show off some of the FTC robots and answer questions. And sometimes we make really good tips. People just stop by and give us money, which is great. And yeah, I think that's about it unless somebody else has questions. Oh, there's my email.
I'm going to drop Heather's email in the chat session. If you're interested in joining the board at all, I would very, very strongly encourage it. We currently have 3 members on the board because we had 4 members roll off the board last year because their students were graduating. We need new parents as much as possible. It's absolutely critical to our organization as a whole. We have we raise or deal with a budget of over $130,000, and this is really what helps fuel us from behind the scenes. So it's a huge part of what we do, and I couldn't do this without a strong booster club. And it means that your students get a really, really great experience overall. So Laura, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say, if you're remotely considering this, please come to the next booster meeting, ask questions. We have a treasurer who we'd like to get somebody shadowing. And that one is, deals with bank accounts and getting names and cards and things shifted around. We have some tax filings that need to be done. So there are some positions that are, more than just the volunteering. And if you want to volunteer, that's terrific because we can use all the hands we can get. But and you can also bring in, like Derek had mentioned, and Heather, we, want the kids to be volunteering, and we, you can bring friends, you can bring people who are, don't have kids in the robotics program. We'll take all the help we can get. But I think for the board positions, that's the most critical thing right now. We need to get transitioned so we have, can get you some experience before next season. So thank you all.
Awesome. All right. Any questions so far? You're a quiet group. I had quite a few questions last year, so.
I have a question. This is Mary Bigham.
Yeah.
Yeah, when do the booster team meetings, when are they?
It's the second Thursday of every month is generally when they are. So I think, Heather, we should probably send out an email before the next one, maybe just as a reminder with the Zoom link and everything else, hopefully with the correct Zoom link this time.
So second Thursday, what time?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay.
That'll be on the robotics calendar too, right, Derek?
Okay.
Betcha. It's there already. I think I have it standing. Yep. There all the time. It doesn't have the Zoom link in it. That's why we'll send it out separately. I don't usually release those publicly so we don't get weird things going on.
Nice.
All right. Any other questions for the Booster Club? All right, Heather and Laura, I know you hung out yesterday. Thank you very much. I will not be offended if you leave this session, but if you want to hang around, you can as well. Okay, I might try and tell a dad joke or two. All right. Oh, come on, they're not that bad, Heather. I told one today, and
I've heard your jokes. They are.
Oh, really? Did you hear the one that I did today?
No. Now you gotta do it.
Today?
Oh no.
Don't scare away the parents, Derek.
Oh,
I know.
man,
We want people to sign up.
It's not that bad. Anyway,
Okay.
All right.
No, now you gotta do it.
Okay, well, how come you've never seen an elephant hiding in a tree? Because they're just that good.
Oh man.
Okay, Derek,
I didn't get a lot of people laughing at that one either.
I'm gonna hop off.
Because they're all on mute. That's it. Well, on that note,
Yeah.
I could feel the spirit laughing. I've got one more for you. You want the last one? Did you hear about the restaurant on the moon? Great food, no atmosphere.
Oh, that one's at least better.
Better.
Yes. End on that one.
I'll work on it. On it.
Oh,
all right, you two take care. Thank you very much. And
bye.
for all the new student parents, we're going to keep plowing on through this, and I'm going to give you a flavor of what robotics is all about. Okay. Feel free again to ask questions in the chat area, and for those parents who are hanging in there, treat this as a working session and work on that. The paperwork side of it if you'd like to. So robotics in a nutshell is two different robotics seasons. Okay, we have a fall season that is FTC. I've referred to that a number of times. It is First Tech Challenge. Okay. We are also very actively involved in community outreach. A lot of times, although we are coming back from a year where we weren't able to do this, we do outreach to local schools and we mentor FLL teams, that's First Lego League teams, in our grade schools and middle schools and so on. We also have a strong business department. Like I mentioned, we have a $130,000 plus budget, and the students help keep us running. They've already got a bunch of fundraising ideas and are already starting to organize to reach out to sponsors and all kinds of stuff. So it's really cool. We also have an art department, which helps us looks good when we go to competitions. This is one of the sweatshirts that were printed. We have done all kinds of things: t-shirts, sweatshirts, caps, socks. Yeah, all kinds of weird and interesting stuff. So I'm sure we'll be at it again this year. What do we offer? Now, this is really important to me because, what do your students get out of this program? And, really some great practical experience in business, art, science, and so on. One of the things that we do is we do some cold calling occasionally. And so your students actually learn to talk on one of these great devices, not just use it, kind of for texting, but actually use it for voice communication, which is interesting. So we teach them how to use their phones, how to call a business, how to respond or create an inquiry and ask for support. And we have been successful at this in the past. And so we'll probably be doing some of that again this year. We've got some great local sponsors. This is a great organization for creativity and problem solving, not only engineering challenges, but business challenges, art challenges. And in the engineering realm, you know, there's programming, there is mechanical engineering where we are working with aluminum, we are 3D printing things, we are CADing, meaning creating our designs on the computer as a 3D image, and then able to work with that and print it out. We CAD our entire robot in the wintertime. It is CADed before we actually make it. So all kinds of really neat things there. We also have some great community service opportunities if your student is involved in National Honor Society or some of the other things where they require community service. We also require it when it's a non-COVID year. Though a lot of times when you go to a community service opportunity with us, it also counts for National Honor Society and other organizations at the school. So, and the last one is near and dear to my heart, and that is the ability to compete as a team. This isn't an individual sport. There's no way one individual can create the robot, wire it, and program all of it on their own in the time frame that we have, especially our winter robot. There's just absolutely no way. This is really a great opportunity for students to be part of a team and to grow and understand that you have to interact with other people in your life to be successful. So really great opportunity. A couple of key concepts that we have in robotics: gracious professionalism and cooperation. Gracious professionalism is best illustrated when we are at the pits during our winter competition. Our pits are where we have our robot when we are not competing out on the field. All the robots are kind of lined up in an area where we have 10 foot by 10 foot areas. It's kind of like going to a convention and going from booth to booth. We get a booth to put our robot in. There are typically 60 plus teams at any one competition, and they may come on and say, you know, hey, we're missing a flux capacitor. Could you please, you know, if somebody's got one, could you drop one by? And we run over there with a flux capacitor, and that's a reference. If anybody got that, that's from Back to the Future. We don't actually have a flux capacitor, although we had a representation of one at one point. It is fun and is interesting and is really cool, but we help each other out as we're doing these things. Cooperation is something that is built into some of our games, where if the two alliances that are competing against each other out on the field cooperate in some way, they get bonus points, which is a really interesting concept overall. You don't see anything like that in, say, basketball, where if you help out the opposing side when you're out on the basketball court, everybody earns more points. You don't see things like that. So really neat that that's baked into some of our games. All right, self-directed learning. A big part of robotics is learning in their functional area. This could be learning about mechanical engineering, electrical, pneumatics, programming, business, art, outreach, public speaking, all kinds of things. We have what are called skill ducks. I liken skill ducks to Boy Scout and Girl Scout badges. They are small knowledge center where they go in and they learn about a particular thing. They demonstrate their competency, and then we mark them off as having a skill duck, which is awesome. Students earn these as they go through the year. Skill ducks are also necessary to go to competitions, and we go over this all with the students so they know things like and I just mentioned it earlier, the safety skill duck. Everybody has to earn. You have to earn that to be able to go into the shop, okay? That is necessary for all of us to stay safe, and our students take that, and is necessary to go to competitions as well. So they have to have that under their belt. There are a number of those that they'll have to do. We usually have some outreach skill ducks that are required, but again, outreach is a little bit on hold during COVID here. So we'll have to be creative with opportunities and see whether we have a requirement for that at all this year. All right. Oh, and the other reason I bring up self-directed learning is that I try and engage all the students. If there's a student just sitting over in the corner, I pull them into a group, I get them engaged in programming or whatever sort of area that they're wanting to. I introduce them to the co-captain or the leader in that particular area and make sure they have somebody that they could be shadowing. If your student is sitting around at robotics, it's because they are forcibly wanting to sit around. It is not for lack of things to do. There are always things to do at robotics, which is wonderful. Okay. They have to have a little bit of desire to learn though. Okay. All right, social distancing. I'm gonna go past that. That's not necessary for this year. Virtual, we don't have to worry about as well this year. So our schedule I've mentioned already, but this type of schedule, I like bringing up two aspects of it. If your son or daughter can't come to 21 practices and qualify to go to the FTC competition, that's okay. We still have students who come and compete at what I would call a recreational level, which is attending meetings, just having fun building, but doesn't necessarily go to competition. Okay. It's a great opportunity for students and we want them there. If they don't want to go to a competition, that's fine. If they don't have the time, they're doing something else like theater in the fall, or they're involved in something else that has quite a few conflicts, that's okay. They can still come and participate. There are some students that are able to juggle other things, like some students will play soccer into October here and essentially be able to make up those 21 meetings fairly easily. Okay. But they got to put a little work into it, but they can do it. Okay. So I have had students who are able to balance other athletics and other activities with robotics. It just, it really depends on, how committed they are and what they want to do. Okay. All right, I think I mentioned this. One of the things I will point out is that if they want to participate fully in our winter competition and make decisions like help with the designing of the robot, they really need to participate in the fall session. Okay. If they're a veteran coming back, they're fine. They've already participated in a season. What we want to avoid are design discussions where ideas that are simply not possible come to the table. Things like, well, let's strap a rocket to this. Well, rockets aren't allowed. That's, it can be humorous at times, but we also, when we're in the throes of really trying to design the robot, we need the students to understand the vocabulary and have the experience of doing that. And that's for a winter competition, which is, frankly, it's one of the biggest parts of the year. Students absolutely love that. So this fall competition leads up to that. Okay, we already went through the time commitment and schedule. This quote I love from Dean Kamen. He is the president of First Robotics. He is an inventor himself. He is just a very approachable, interesting guy. Really wants to see students succeed and loves this organization that he's put together. I'm sure he's a multimillionaire, multiple times over. But he just seems like such a great down-to-earth person if you get a chance to talk to him. And he says, I don't use kids to build robots. I use robots to build kids. This is really about building strength and building skill sets around STEM and promoting STEM in our schools. So it's a great opportunity. If your student is interested in going to college for mechanical engineering or anything like that, I'll get to the winter schedule in just a moment. That's a great question. If they're interested in any of that in college, robotics will help them. Like they can put that on their application, their college application. And I'm relatively convinced that really helped my son get into, he was accepted at all 5 colleges that he applied to, and eventually chose to go to St. Thomas. So, I'm sure robotics helped in that. And I know it has helped a number of students. Colleges actually ask about their participation in robotics and what they did as a leader in the organization. So, and we have lots of leadership positions. So that's a good thing. FTC costs and requirements we went through already. First Tech Challenge. You'll see on the screen here, there are small robots. These are relatively small. They fit into an 18 by 18 inch cube, okay? They are not huge. Our FRC robot that we build in the winter is much larger, and I'll show you a picture of something like that in just a moment. this is what they're doing, and they are competing on a 12-foot by 12-foot field. And the game for this year has been outlined. There's a video of it actually available. It is out here. I put this into the presentation so you can come out to the presentation and check it out as well. It is also on the First Inspires website, and you can also go to YouTube and type in FTC Reveal 2021, and it will come right up. All right, you're already at this meeting. Here's what fee pay covers. $90 for our head coach fee, plus one more, so Mr. Malm, facilities, insurance, and $2,000 for transportation for the team. The $90 is for the full year. It's actually for 2 coaching contracts for 2 seasons. So when you look at this, it's actually 4 coaching contracts total. The school pays far more to us than what we recoup in that $90 fee for coaching, facilities, insurance, and so on. Okay. Our coaching, we're not making a huge amount of money off of this. Don't worry. This is not our profit centers as individuals. We do this because we have a passion for robotics and we love working with the students, but there is a cost to it, and they do help us out a little bit, which is great. So we appreciate that in the end. The theme for 2021 is, it's out there. What did they, we'll go to it in just a few minutes. We'll get to that. Good question. The FTC fee of $150 covers kits, t-shirts, entrance fees, game pieces and game elements, and any of the materials that we have to buy for the fall. Okay, we're already starting to get started on that. For example, just the kits alone costs close to $1,000 per kit, and we have 5 teams, so that's $5,000. T-shirts, every student gets 1 t-shirt, so that we're all wearing a t-shirt when we go to our tournament. The first tournament entrance fee, all that stuff is taken care of, okay, in that $150 fee. It is also, FTC is subsequently covered by our fundraising as well. So our Booster Club pays and covers even more of that. We're forming teams right now. Get that paperwork in right away. I will not tell your son or daughter what team they are on until I have all the paperwork, except for the $90 fee, which we don't have out there. So I'm waiving that for now. But shortly, when it's available, it will no longer be waivable. So if you get that paperwork in right away, before I'm able to get it up on the site, you can get placed on a team before that fee is actually paid, which is fine. All right, communication is a little bit different. Your son or daughter has graduated from middle school and they're in high school now. I expect them to take the reins of responsibility and communicate with you, the parent. We go over this every single meeting, okay? We go through an administration portion of the meeting at the very beginning, and we remind them of any critical items that they need to be aware of going through the season, okay? Our expectation is that they are paying attention to that and that they are communicating with you, their parents, okay? They are the main form of communication, and that's what's expected. And I tell them and I pound that into them throughout the year, okay? The Booster Club may send out additional information, and I occasionally do send out an email to parents, okay? That's, it comes through constant contact, and you'll get an occasional piece. You will not get all the details. Again, that comes through students, okay? The web calendar is out there. I encourage you to subscribe to it. We do use an application called Basecamp that your student will want to install on their iOS or Android phone if they have one, or it's also available on any web browser. So we require it for all communication for our club. That's where I post things like, oops, we can't meet this next Thursday because of conferences. Didn't know that, but we got to cancel. And they will get that communication there, okay? There is notifications that come off of the wonderful Basecamp app. We tell them to turn off email notifications. Unfortunately, that's on by default. We tell them to turn that off right away. If they choose to have regular notifications that ping them on their phones, we do not expect them to answer that during classes or anything like that. We would like them to reply within, you know, a business day, so to speak, outside of classes and so on, okay? Excluding holidays and things, we want to just be reasonable, okay? All right, I've got a list of questions here that you can ask your student. Parents occasionally say, hey, what should I be asking my student when they come home? Because I asked them, hey, what did you do in robotics? And they said, nothing. And you push a little bit further and they say, well, we did some stuff. Okay, you can dig a little bit further and hear a few questions you can ask and go from there. All right, snack schedule, we're not doing this year because COVID. And you make a difference. We went through this a little bit in terms of what you could do to help the Booster Club. We also have mentoring available. This is especially prevalent in our winter season. We will go through a little bit of mentoring training, and we would love to have parents assist with that. If you have time and inclination, anybody has skills to do this, because if you are part of a family, which you all are, you have organization skills and can help with things like business. We also have other functional areas like mechanical, programming, things like that. If you have specialized skill sets in those areas, we would love to utilize that. Electrical, pneumatics, all great stuff. Business as well. Again, this is a really low threshold here. You can almost certainly, help in some aspect with the with Crimson Robotics. I had in the past an individual who came on Fridays and did a team building exercise with the team as they were waiting right before we actually kicked off each Friday. And it was a great team building time and really well done. So anybody can help out, and it really, really helps. When you're signing up, you can choose FTC is fine. Your students are already showing interest in this fall, and you can choose FTC to start with, and you can choose FRC for the winter time when we get there too. Okay. All right, a few miscellaneous things. Lettering, as I mentioned, is centered around service, sustainability, and success. We ask our students to write a brief essay about why they deserve lettering. I have given letters out to freshmen before, so I am more than happy to give them out to students who are very dedicated to robotics. It is, like I said, only one of 2 states that actually allows students to letter in robotics, which is absolutely a phenomenal opportunity. All right, FRC, which is our winter season. This is where a few of the questions are from as well. Robot Ruckus, I think, is what the theme is for FTC this year. That's the fall. This is the winter competition. Notice much bigger pictures here, right? These are bigger robots. These robots, they change in dimension each year. They change in capabilities every year. We get a new game every year, and we have to build a robot from scratch in 2 months. We fully CAD it. We manufacture the aluminum parts. We put a drivetrain together. We put manipulators on it, depending on what is needed, and we get it ready in those 2 months' time. Our competition this year is March 3rd and 4th, I think. I can bring it up later. It is in Duluth, and then we have another one later in March in Iowa, okay? These are played in larger stadiums, okay? University of Minnesota, the state tournament is pictured in the right-hand side. We participate in the deck up in Duluth. The deck, 2 FRC competitions are run simultaneously. That's 60 teams on one side, 60 teams on the other side. It is a madhouse. It is absolutely just a blast. Students have tons of fun. It is one of the first times many students have gone on an overnight trip without their parents. We provide kind of a safe and comfortable way for students to experience a really fun activity away from the house potentially for the first time, which is pretty cool. Students seem to really enjoy that aspect of it. All right, our FRC schedule you asked about. Let me tell you a little bit. There's 4 days where we build and then meet after school. Sorry, my dog is doing zoomies behind me. We meet 4 days a week for FTC. For FRC, we meet, I believe there's 6 sessions a week over 5 days. Okay, we will have Sunday and Monday off, and then we will meet Tuesday evening, Wednesday after school, Wednesday night, Thursday after school, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. Okay, Saturday morning and to 2 p.m. approximately. A lot more sessions. We require more attendance then. This is the varsity aspect of our sport. It does take a little bit more dedication as for those 2 months. That qualifies them to go to Duluth and or Iowa. Okay, assuming they are in good standing and pay the competition fee of the $250. Duluth, like I said, was in March, and I was aware First Inspires.org. This is their website for First Inspires. It's going to come up here. You can actually go out here and see what First is all about, accept the cookies. They have the programs over here. We do the First Tech Challenge in the winter. You can look over all kinds of resources about the First Tech Challenge. FRC, or First Robotics Challenge, is what we're talking about in the fall. The events are out here. Nah, that's not what I want. Let's search. Here we go. You can search for events, FRC, events over the next year within the United States. Come on. Okay. Here, you can just do this. Okay. Within 100 miles, I wanted events, not team. So it's giving me teams. Okay, oh, these are kickoffs that they've already got out there. Great. 250 miles. These are kickoff events, and there is one. Wow, they just added these in the last couple days. The Minnesota Regional, we don't go to that one, interestingly enough, and there's a reason for that. We do not go to the local University of Minnesota competition unless we make it to state. And now I'm not going to be able to put my fingers on the Duluth one. Here's that's the Iowa Cedar Rapids kickoff. Seriously. Oh, Northern Lights Regional. We go to that's one of the two that are up in the deck. We actually go to the other one, which is the Lake Superior Regional, March 2nd and March 5th. And then, oh, there's the Lake Superior. Oh, there's the Iowa one. Okay, March 23rd and 26th. So you can find them out here on the First Inspires website, and you can get a whole bunch of other information out here as well. But they're located out here. If you want to travel and watch, we absolutely love it when our parents come to the competitions. Book your hotel today, literally. So that March 3rd and 4th for Duluth, it's down in Canal Park. Those hotels get booked very, very rapidly. So we'll be booking hours for the team probably within the next couple weeks here. Okay, Iowa, same way. We'll get those booked fairly shortly here. So that gives you an overview of the schedule. I don't have any particular slide showing the days and whatnot because those do kind of fluctuate. And what I gave you is what we've done in the past. I'm not absolutely positive and locked into the days quite yet for the future. So we'll look at that, but that gives you an idea. Okay. We need chaperones. We will particularly need female chaperones, or we won't be able to actually go to events. So I will be asking parents for a female chaperone to go to both Duluth and Iowa for us. If we qualify, we might end up going to Champs, which is held in Detroit. And instead of 60 teams, there are like 500 teams. Before they split them apart, it was all in one location. They did a single Champs, and it was usually around 800 to 900 teams. It was done in St. Louis. Now they have two championship time slots. One is in Detroit, that's the one we're assigned, and the other one is in Houston. We will be going to the Detroit one if we win at a regional event. All right, FRC, I mentioned at $250, that covers student lodging. We go for 4 nights, 3 days. We leave on Wednesday after school. We are there Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and we come home on Saturday. So that $250 covers lodging, covers transportation above the $2,000 that the school gives us, some meals, entrance fees, equipment purchases, and other materials. It costs us $10,000 typically to build a robot. We've spent upwards of $18,000 on a robot, and we've spent as little as $8,000 on a robot. So we have, it fluctuates each year. All right. So there'll be more info to come as we get closer to January on the FRC season. All right. We mentioned our fundraising that's still to be determined. And now we're down to any additional questions. Yeah, for First Tech Challenge, actually just pick FRC on the website, Matt. I'm sorry, I didn't realize which website you were on. If you can choose FRC and then put in 2526, it'll work. And that's where I want them to land to start with. Thank you. What other, so theme, this is another great question. So again, on the first website, I'm going to First Tech Challenge. If you go to programs and First Tech Challenge, you can see game and season. They have Unpack the Freight Frenzy Details. This is where you can watch the overview of this competition this year. So it's about a 7 or 8 minute video. I'm not gonna play that right now. I let you view that on your own. Any other questions? I know that's a lot of information. If you have not been part of robotics before, it's a wonderful world, but there's a lot going on in it. So I completely understand being overwhelmed at the beginning. Quiet group tonight.
So how big of a team is it going to be this year?
Hey, great question. We had about 51 students sign up so far. That's a little bit under what I would consider pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, we were averaging between about 55 and 80 signing up at the beginning of the year. So we're still a little bit under that. We'll probably have more students joining. In fact, I had another couple join today, and and we also have students who just aren't that interested and found out the commitment might have been more than they could have handled or things like that. So we'll have some drop out too. But right about 51. So it's a good chunk of students again this year. And it's fun with a slightly smaller group because you get just very dedicated students. So when we have 80 students, it's just a madhouse. It's a complete madhouse. So.
Well, could you maybe spend a minute or two explaining kind of, so the FTC, the objective is to build the smaller robots. So the entire group of students participate in building this one robot based on the theme that you just shared. And then there are many, many different parts to be built. And so they go through the concept and design and building it. Is that, and each team takes up a particular role and they stick with that role for the duration of FTC? Is that the approach?
They don't have to stick with the role at all during that. So that's a great question. We've got a bunch of photo albums out here, so I like bringing stuff up just to help illustrate and show. So these are students actually at the Duluth competition and Iowa competition. That is our robot 1 year. Students can come in and show interest in programming and end up doing outreach. They could come in showing interest in, outreach and start doing mechanical engineering and being in the shop. They're not confined to starting out in one location and staying that way the entire season by any means. And we have students that float between. We have students that might help in 2 different areas, depending on how much is going on in each one. For example, pneumatics, we really don't have in the fall, but even in the winter season, there's not tons typically going on in pneumatics. It's a pretty straightforward, easy department to work with. And as a result, they may do pneumatics and electrical or something like that. So yeah, students can definitely float between things.
Very good, thank you.
You bet. So definitely bigger robots. They're about 120 pounds in FRC. They run the robot from behind a plexiglass screened area. And yeah, they have a ton of fun at these competitions. You can see there's a whole big field down here behind them. There's a better picture kind of the field, a little bit washed out there, but still pretty cool. Students absolutely love going to these things. On a robot cart going off to the field, they just have a ton of fun. All right, any other questions as I kind of scroll through these? All right. Going once. By the way, you can always reach out to me. Feel free to email me. There's email addresses in the presentations and whatnot. Oh, we make our own buttons. By the way, our buttons at competitions, we give away buttons. Our buttons, we pride ourselves on being some of the most sought after buttons that you can find at an FRC competition. It's pretty awesome.
I have a question. I think it's already been asked. I walked away for a minute. And I was trying to fill out the application for my returning students, and it said that they hadn't applied to a team yet. And then it was like the other person said, I tried to enter 2526 and it said invalid.
Oh, if you mark down that you want an FRC team, 2526 should come up.
I can't remember what application I was filling out. I thought it was just the general, on the
I think
general.
it was out on
dashboard.
First Inspires. So it would have been on
Yeah.
the First Inspires website
Yeah.
when that happened. And that's for the consent form, and you might have been applying for a team. And so you apply for an FRC team and you apply for 2526. For new parents, typically the way this happens is I invite the student to 2526, and then the student invites the parents, and you don't necessarily have to go through those jumps. But if you do, or it asks you for a team, you put in FRC and team 2526, and it should come up for you.
So write FRC first before 2526. Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
Perfect. All right. One more time. Going once. Going twice. They love cheering in the stands. Oh my goodness. We have huge LED signs that we put up that mentors help us create. It's awesome. All right. Going 3 times. I am going to let you go. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We will talk to you all soon. Have an awesome Thursday night, and I hope to see you during the season. Bye-bye.